We're talking about Scott Bakula and Quantum Leap yet again because Shane has been communicating with Scott Bakula's publicist.
That's it.
And his publicist has made it very clear that Scott Bakula was not the problem with Quantum Leap. In fact, he would love to do Quantum Leap, but the studio doesn't want Scott Bakula in their new show. And before Shane explains this, I want you to know, if you're not a subscriber, go on down there and hit that button. We're super close to 1,000. And on the way to the comment section, hit the like button and all that good stuff. And thank you for being here. Shane, what's happening?
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting story. You know, we reached out when we found out that Scott Bakula was going to be doing a pilot. See, it was really crazy news last week. So we found out that he's going to be doing this pilot show on NBC, the same network that Quantum Leap's new show is going to be on. Mm-hmm. But it was kind of a Yellowstone copycat show.
Right, yeah. It was very Yellowstone-ish.
Yeah, different story than Yellowstone, but copycatish. So we put out a tweet that basically said, you know, but what people don't realize is that we do have insider connections that we talk to sometimes. And some of the information that we get, you know, it's not always right.
And by the way, we're very, very appreciative of those connections because for the longest time we had none of those connections, and we don't want to ruin that. So a lot of it, sometimes we don't mention it because, you know, they're not 100%, and we're not gonna ruin it, you know, for us and them. So
right. So the indication that we got was that basically he kind of wanted to do something else. Which was fine. So we went out with that on Twitter, and apparently a bunch of Facebook fans of specifically not Quantum Leap, but specifically Scott Bakula fans. I think it's a Scott Bakula fans club on Facebook. Got really, really unruly with us. I don't typically get involved. Brian and I don't typically get embroiled in these Twitter fights with people because I just think it's dumb.
It is dumb. That's why we normally don't talk. We normally don't respond to anyone being mean.
Yeah, if you're being unreasonable, we're not going to talk to you. So these people kept saying, you know, you don't know, it's not true. So I was like, okay, well then give me some evidence. Like, tell me why you think that he wanted to do Quantum Leap and was told no. And then we will find out, and we'll let everybody else know. That's fine. If you know something we don't know, then tell us. So they were very angry and very, very not nice. They were typical like trolls, right?
Right.
But they did give up the name of somebody and said, ask this person, they'll tell you. And I'm like, who is this person? And then I looked up who that person was, and I realized it was Scott Bakula's publicist. Now, it is by nature, publicists typically do not talk to us because, unless it's going to be completely under the table, they're not going to tell us much.
Right.
So I call up this guy, Jay, super nice guy. And I called him up and I told him who I was. I told him what was going on. And we, fans are upset because Scott Bakula is not going to be in Quantum Leap. And basically he said, yeah, well, fans aren't the only ones upset he's not going to be in it. So is Scott Bakula.
Huh.
And I was like, okay, well, tell me more. What can you tell us about it? And he couldn't give any specifics. But basically what he could say is that for years and years and years, Scott Bakula wanted to do Quantum Leap. He worked on it. Belisario had a problem with his wife. The reason why we didn't get Quantum Leap sooner, years and years ago, is because there was some sort of ownership problem between Belisario, who created the show, and his wife, who co-owned it with him. Finally, those deals were worked out, and that's why we're getting a show today. Bakula wanted to do Quantum Leap, according to his publicist, but they were trying to work out some sort of deal with NBC Universal, and NBC Universal decided to go another direction. So Scott was all on board. NBC Universal decided to go another direction. Now, were they offering Scott maybe to come in as a cameo? And Scott's like, no, I want the lead. Which is what we're understanding. He wanted the lead role in Quantum Leap. He wanted to come back as Dr. Sam Beckett. and continue the story. And this show is continuing the story. Let's be clear. It is the future, time is past, in the present, and now this group is coming in to try to understand what Dr. Sam Beckett has did to understand his work, and somebody else gets sucked back into time.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
basically what's
continuation.
happening. It's a continuation. There's absolutely no reason why an older, perfectly older, the correct age, Scott Bakula, couldn't keep going in his role, which every stinking Quantum Leap fan on the planet wants. I don't care what you say. If you loved Quantum Leap from the 80s, you want Scott Bakula in the show. If you weren't alive, or you don't remember, or you didn't see the show, maybe you don't care. That's totally possible. And that may be the direction that NBC's going. Now, the fact that, now, I think you mentioned, or somebody mentioned the fact that why don't they just, offer him more money? Well, the problem is if Scott wanted more money, then he wouldn't be doing another show on NBC, that's different than Quantum Leap. If it's all about money, or unless NBC's like, well, we'll pay you to do this one, a completely unknown show that we don't even know if it's going to work, or we'll pay you to do the one that has thousands and thousands and thousands of fans. So which one is NBC going to do for money? So that doesn't make any sense that Scott wouldn't get the same amount of money for that show. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To do a pilot for a Yellowstone copycat.
Right.
So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. What we do know, and I believe the publicist, he's been Bakula's publicist from the beginning. He's more than a publicist. He's a friend. He's been with him since before Quantum Leap. And for anybody to keep the same publicist for all that, that's not always normal in Hollywood. So that's kind of a big deal. So I trust the source, and we can actually say who it is. Now,
Right.
He doesn't want to talk about it a lot publicly, but he did confirm it, so we were able to share that with you guys. The last thing I want to say before Brian says something is if you guys are any of the people on Twitter who were talking about this, and I tried to give them credit for the correction, because apparently they must have somehow communicated with his publicist somehow and got the information when they told us, and I wanted to thank them for it. But when I thanked them for it, they came back at me with a bunch of rude silliness and disgusting comments that got them, ignored on Twitter. And all I would say is, if you're going to have that kind of discourse with somebody on Twitter, at least be polite. Just because you're not looking at somebody in the face, I guarantee you, if we were face to face, you probably wouldn't have spoken to me that way.
You definitely wouldn't have spoken to the 6'7" guy that way.
You wouldn't. You wouldn't. Yeah.
Here's the deal. I don't even understand why you are so passionate. So passionate, and I'm going to use that word, that you would go out of your way to not only correct someone, which is fine if you're correcting them because they made a mistake, but then insult them for making a mistake, and then after that person attempts to correct his mistake, insult them further. You know what that means? You know what that makes you? A garbage person. That's what that makes you. I'm sorry. You're a garbage person. You're not a reasonable human being, adult person. If you can't have a normal conversation, take someone's, and not even a mistake. It was your best educated guess. You had not actually talked to this person. We are guessing like the rest of you guys. How did they get in touch with the publicist? I mean, assuming how crazy they are, it probably showed up at his house.
Right. Or somehow they ended in some sort of engagement, at a meetup or whatever. However they got it. They had the right information, and I gave them credit in the tweet, which is the sad part, is thank you to these people who then basically came back and hurled insults at me regardless. So
yeah, whatever. Those people are they don't have value, man. So I wouldn't even.
Well, the important thing is we were able to get the correct information out, and what became of it, the positive that came from this, is that nobody knew, that it was not officially put out anywhere, that Scott wanted to do Quantum Leap. And this is not really news yet. This is going to pop. You're going to see this come out on Screen Rant. There's other places are going to pick this up soon, and you're going to see stories out there, and then the word's going to be out. But just remember that it came here. It came from here first.
That's right. Hey, plus you got to talk to a really nice guy.
Yeah, he was a great guy, and he actually may come on our show at some point to talk about some other stuff because he's got some pretty cool things in the mix.
Well, that would be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about it, guys. That's that story. So if you are not a subscriber, I'm gonna say it again: hit the subscribe button on the way down to the comment section to yell at Shane a little more.
Come on, bring it.
Because he sucked and he didn't get the information right the first time based on reading articles that everyone else had access to and had the same conclusion.
Well,
oh wait,
it's pretty reasonable.
Get out of here. Anyways, thanks for the sub. See you next time.